Hello, welcome to the Minds and Money Online Connect Virtual Mining Conference. I'm your host for this exciting fireside chat with Gord Stothart, CEO of IAMGOLD. Gord, thank you very much for having this conversation with me. I've been really looking forward to it. Just because you
very much, Nils.
You have a lot of exciting stuff happening.
We do.
But before I get into the questions, I just wanted to say for everybody who's watching live, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat function, submit your questions, and I will try to ask them of Gord. But Gord, before we get into your projects, I really want to get a sense from you, like what's your thoughts on the health of the mining sector right now?
I think generally it's quite healthy. We certainly a few years ago for all commodities were a little bit challenged, if you were. The uptick in prices over the past year and a half, 2 years across the industry is certainly healthy for us. But there's a lot of changes. Obviously, dealing with remote operations in the middle of a pandemic is somewhat challenging and spotty, and it depended obviously where you are and what the local situation was to deal with. I think as we look forward, as the world comes out of the pandemic, I think demand is going to pick up in a lot of sectors. I think the economy generally is poised to move ahead. I mean, the equities have done well, but if you look at industrial and infrastructure investment, all of those things are lined up to happen in the future. And obviously all of those things will certainly help the mining industry. There's also been some significant changes with respect to the markets and ESG and a focus from investors on issues, certainly in North America that hasn't been there in the past. It's been there in the past, I think a little more in Europe. However, it's really becoming a much more of a global phenomenon, and I think we certainly welcome it. I think overall the industry historically has been pretty silent about those sorts of things. It's not that we didn't do work in it, but we just didn't talk about it so much. And I think it really provides a platform for companies to talk about the good work that we do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, okay, and I guess this is like, so you say generally, the sector is healthy. What gets investors into the mining sector? I mean, we see margins doing really well. I mean, the gold price, we're hovering above 18. We're back above 1,800. So we have some reason to celebrate. But even 17, the things that I've heard, 1,700, 1,600. This is still a fantastic environment for miners. And, so the sector is healthy, but and I agree with you. But we're just, investors still just aren't getting involved in mining. And like as a CEO, how do you reach out to these guys and try to get their attention? I mean, how big a stick do you have to hit them with? Like, it's just margins, balance sheets, cash flow, everything is on the positive.
Everything's on the positive. I think it's a matter of time. I think the short-term phenomenon around certainly some of the technology center and the technology sector and other sectors of the investment market are just the stars of the show right now. What will be interesting, I really think, is over time, all of the common metrics, like you say, cash flow, balance sheet, margins. If you look at the mining group as a whole and the mining sector, most of those key metrics, we are outperforming the rest of the economy in a lot of those metrics. So it will, I think, take some time for those metrics to sink in. And when people start looking for investments outside and people start to believe, if true, that the stock market is too hot and they need to go looking for fundamental investment that works, I think coming back to the mining sector, especially if you have a positive view on commodities and gold price going forward, which, you know, a significant number of people have, I think at that point in time, you're going to see some people coming into the sector. Their portfolios are fat, especially the generalists. They need to diversify and need to keep an eye on the different sectors. And I do think there will be a shift, and I don't think it's in the not too distant future.
Well, yeah, like, you know, if the mining sector was a t-shirt company, and
Yes.
you know that company had these margins, like it would be the most overvalued stock,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
in the index. Like it's just it's crazy, and so
Yeah.
you know, like, and I guess, like, you know, so what, as a miner, I mean, especially ESG, I mean, is that what we need to focus on now? Is showing people how we've cleaned up, and also too, I guess, you know, one of the things I've heard is that, you know, they want to see, investors want to see consistency. You know, have we learned, has the mining companies learned from 2008 2011 bull rally?
I think generally yes. I think it's going to be challenging though. Especially in the gold mining sector. I'll speak more of the gold mining sector, but the lack of investment in exploration over the past 8-9 years, and the lack of new exploration finds coming into the resource side of the equation is going to be interesting. And when you look at the sector as a whole, there are a number of companies out there that will be challenged to sustain their production levels going forward, given their resources. You know, there is the opportunity to consolidate and do that, but I mean, consolidation rarely puts additional ounces in the ground. If you look at it as a sector, there's, you know, the resources have declined, and they've declined interestingly. I think yes, the market is going to demand ESG performance and ESG transparency, even more so, I think, than performance. You know, we have a perception, I think, generally, that mining is an old dirty business, whereas those of us that are in it know that that's not a fact. We're very technology driven. We're doing a lot of advancement, a lot of technology advancement around energy efficiency and environmental performance are actually coming out of the mining industry, and going to other industries from us. So it's going to take, it's a bit of a marketing exercise, if you will, over the next while to make that happen. The discipline to invest wisely in good projects. What I see is there's not a lot of projects coming on. So, and most of the projects you look at these days that are being sanctioned are, you know, good, solid, reliable projects. We like to think Cote is one of those.
You're getting ahead of me. You're getting ahead of me here, but
it hasn't been a rush to invest like it was last time prices spiked. The cycle is the cycle, and as prices stay up and are sustained, and as resources drop down, and as mining companies start to mine more challenging ore in more mature mines, there's a lot of incentive for companies to start looking at more challenging projects, which is where the risk comes in. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes going forward. The cycles are there. It's a cyclical business. It has been for the 30 plus years I've been in it, and it was for the 30 plus years before that. It's hard for me to believe it's not going to be cyclical going forward.
I think it's really interesting how, you know, you mentioned that, you know, maybe mining companies can't necessarily buy their way out of this, you know, like, you know, and I think it does come down to, you know, drills in the ground as well.
Yep.
I think that's really interesting. And, you know, that leads to a segue to Cote Gold. You know, you guys are in construction. And I think this Cote is actually a really interesting project because it hits on a lot of the topics that we have already mentioned. You know, like, just really quickly, you know, talk about this joint venture that you guys are developing.
So I'll get my dates right here. 1917. It's 2017. Sumitomo Metal Mining bought a 30% share of our interest in the Côté Gold project. Sumitomo, obviously a company with an incredible mining history, goes back well over 400 years. So it's an interesting group to be working with. A lot of experience in open pit mines, a lot of experience actually as a junior partner in a number of mines, both copper and gold around the world, and provide a lot of great engineering counterpoint and review, third-party review in a way to everything we're doing. So we're very pleased to have them as a partner. They hold our feet to the fire when they should, and they support us very, very strongly in our decisions and in the path forward, and truly are a participant. They're not just sitting on the sidelines clipping coupons. They're in it for the business, which is very good. And for a company like IAMGOLD, dare to dream, it does provide some opportunities for us in the future to work again with hopefully with Sumitomo on some other projects.
And a big part of this, like, we talk about ESG, a big part of this is you guys are actually going to use autonomous vehicles, and like that plays a big role because it reduces your footprint. You don't have to have such big shafts. Ventilation is like your engineering designs are completely different from a traditional mine. How much of the ESG decision went into, I guess, how big of an importance is, the use of autonomous vehicles in your ESG decisions?
It's part of the ESG decision. It does provide us greater efficiencies. The equipment that you operate tends to operate optimally, so that they're more efficient. It provides some opportunities for us to look at other powered technologies, whether it's natural gas or compressed natural gas, those sorts of opportunities, even hydrogen at some point in the future for powering. It allows us to very precisely plan where materials end up and structure our waste structures so that they're efficiently placed for reclamation down the road. Beyond just the autonomous with ESG at Côté, and building on what we call our zero harm vision, which has been in place for nearly 15 years. Our relationships with the local communities in and around Côté has been something that's been key, I think, to us being able to advance this project and advance it in a form that we're comfortable with. And that's happening on the back of what we've been able to do elsewhere in the world with local communities. And in some ways now is even extending that relationship even more deeply. The relationships with the First Nations we have in and around Côté are strong with the local communities. We recently signed a deal, an agreement with the Métis Nation of Ontario. And in that respect, with respect to community relations, I think it's also a mine of the future, just like automation makes it a mine of the future. Open pit mines have been around a long time. I've been doing it for a long time. And as we sat down and thought about it strategically, understanding this mine, current life is 18 plus years. I think it probably goes 30 years. So we wanted to design a mine of the next 30 years, not the last 30 years. And that goes to ESG, that goes to closure, that goes to water management, that goes to automation, that goes to technology. So there's a lot of different ways to look at it, and that's how we're approaching it.
So that, where do you see gold mining in the future? I mean, is it autonomous? Is it, and not just, and I guess, like water usage. I mean, do you think we get rid of, dry stacking and stuff like that? Like, is this, what's your vision?
Well, tailings technology is evolving more towards dry stack, getting away from sort of traditional subaqueous tailings deposition in structures. Ours is a more conventional tailings deposition because it works very well on the Canadian Shield, and we found a location that's very amenable to it. But I think generally people will look at dry stack options. It's interesting because it's dry stack is more energy consumption. It takes a lot to dewater. I think moving away from waste in general, managing waste more efficiently, technologies like ore sorting that eliminate a portion of the quantity of tailings, more efficient grinding, more efficient comminution, more efficient extraction methods that don't require as much energy input will be very, very important. And I think more tactical exploitation, if you will, of the materials. It's interesting because the other trend that happens over time is with technology and larger equipment and greater efficiencies and just the natural evolution is head grades start to drop over time. That requires more efficiency to make it economic. So there's always a contrast going on right there. I think, you know, ESG is just starting, and I think there still are a lot of impacts yet to come from that trend that will come to bear on the mining industry, certainly in terms of waste management, in terms of water management, certainly in terms of community relations, energy efficiency. There's a lot of aspects that we've dealt with. We've dealt with them in the past more from the perspective of cost efficiency. I think it will be a more holistic approach to mining as we move forward.
So we actually are getting down to the end of this.
Okay.
I just wanted to quickly ask you, you know, like obviously a lot of focus on Côté. I mean, that's under development. Yeah. What other projects what do your other projects look like at IAMGOLD?
So certainly we had a challenging Q2 at IAMGOLD. We are really looking hard at the rest of the year and focusing on the current operations at Essakane in Burkina Faso, at Westwood in Canada, and at Rosabelle in Suriname in South America. You know, we need to perform on those. But beyond that, we do have a development pipeline. We have the Boto project in Senegal. It's ready to go. We're currently continuing to de-risk it while we focus on executing on Côté. You know, once we're really comfortable, Côté is in a good place and is starting to produce and generate cash flow. Boto is certainly probably the next on the rank. We've got extensions from Boto. We have the Karita prospect in Guinea and the Diaka prospect in Mali, right close to Boto. Back in Quebec, we have a Nelligan project with a satellite called Monster Lake. And, you know, we continue to look at brownfields in and around Essakane and Rosabelle and what the opportunities there are. So there's lots going on. Côté itself, we've already identified the next major find there called Gosselin, which is about 1.5 kilometers to the east of Côté, and we'll be coming out with a resource on that hopefully in Q4 this year. And I think that just enhances the story for Côté itself.
I mean, you do have this global footprint. You know, everybody talks about, you know, like one thing, you know, regional, you know, location.
Yep.
That's not necessarily, you know, like, I mean, you're in some.
Hello? I've got you breaking up, Niels. Connection lost. Oh, you're back. There you go.
Oh,
yeah, I lost you for a second there, Niels.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm having internet issues. So I just got the warning. I apologize. This actually looks like we do need to wrap up. So I got lucky there with my issues.
No problem.
Thank you very much, Gord, for speaking with me today. it's been a pleasure.
You as well. Thank you very much, Niels. It's great to have a chat. Take care.
And good luck with the development of Côté. I'm actually really excited to see this grow and actually go into production. I want to see how this leading an innovative mind can work in Canada. I think it's really, really exciting.
I think it's important for Ontario, and I think it's important for Canada that this project does well, and I think there will be others to follow